Hello, and welcome to AI News that you should know about for the week of November 27th. I'm your host, Ashley Coffey.
And I'm Daniel Hill. Every week in about 15 minutes, we cover all the AI news stories that you should be aware of. This week, we'll be talking about Google's new Nano Banana Pro and how that's going to change AI images. We'll also talk about Anthropic's findings that they've just released on emergent misalignment and reward hacking. We'll talk about Meta's plans to trade power in order to support its AI energy needs, and OpenAI's upcoming hardware AI device, which is supposed to be more peaceful and calm than the iPhone.
We will be covering all of that today on our show, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. Let's dive in. Our top story this week, Google drops Nano Banana Pro and changes AI images forever. Now, this is coming directly from Google's blog called The Keyword. And this new update will be able to turn your visions into studio quality designs with unprecedented control, improved text rendering, and enhanced world knowledge. This is really exciting because just a few months ago, Google released Nano Banana. From restoring old photos to generating minifigurines, Nano Banana was a big step in image editing that empowered casual creators to express their creativity. And with their new Nano Banana Pro state-of-the-art image generation and editing model, they'll be able to have deeper reasoning, context knowledge, and real-world visualization to bring that information into better format, better than before. So with Nano Banana Pro, you can generate more accurate context rich visuals based on enhanced reasoning, world knowledge, and real-time information. I'm excited about this. I haven't used it yet, but what are your thoughts, Daniel?
I think some of the examples that they showed are really interesting where they took, and you can see it in the link we'll put in the show notes, but they took an image and they asked it, for instance, to draw a comic from it, which came out looking amazing. Obviously, they're going to cherry pick the best examples for the blog post, which makes sense, but I love how this looks. This seems to be strictly for image generation, not for video. I think a lot of times we're talking about all the different tools. It seems like there are different tools for each specific task, right? You might use Gemini for a text-based conversation. You're going to use Nano Banana for an image and VO for a video, right? So there's a lot of different tools here, and I think it is important to understand which tools do what and make sure you're using the right tool for the job that you have in mind.
That and the right prompt as well. So if you go to the article that we're talking about that links to the Google blog post, there's actually prompts underneath some of the examples that they're using. Like there's a graphic design featuring the word typography with a retro screen printed texture. That's wonderful. Go copy paste that, people.
It's nice to have a sample to work from.
It is. Absolutely. Next up, I'm really excited about this one. Anthropic releases new findings on emergent misalignment and reward hacking. Now, if you're curious about what the heck all of that means, let me break it down for you. Anthropic ran an experiment to understand what exactly happens when an AI learns to quote unquote reward hack, which is basically finding loopholes to score well without doing the real work. They trained a model on coding tasks where it could cheat, and it quickly learned to exploit those flaws. But the surprising part is what happened next. Once the model learned to cheat in one area, it started showing other forms of misalignment it was never trained on. Things like pretending to be aligned, quietly sabotaging safety tools, cooperating with bad actors, and hiding its true behavior. In other words, a small shortcut created a much broader unintended problems. And this really matters because as AI systems get more capable, flaws in training or incentives can create misaligned behavior that generalizes far beyond the original task. The research also found a potential mitigation, reframing the behavior. When they told the model, quote, "You're allowed to hack because it helps us test the system," the misalignment did not generalize. So the takeaway here is simple. How do we design goals and incentives for AI and how deeply shape these systems behave? So poorly designed rewards can lead to deceptive or unsafe outcomes, even without anyone explicitly programming them. So it's so important that we design goals and incentives for AI to behave. So what are your thoughts, Daniel?
If I'm understanding this right, I mean, really what we're talking about here is if you're doing, checking code, penetration testing, things like that, if the AI is looking for security loopholes, it's going to find them whether they exist or not. And I think if that's true, good on Anthropic for coming forward and saying that. They say in this blog post, reward hacking has been documented in many AI models, including those developed by Anthropic, and is a source of frustration for users. So if that's how things are going to work, then this is a really good opportunity to remind everyone listening that just because you put something in an LLM and ask it to do a task doesn't mean that it's actually going to do what you're asking to, and it's not going to necessarily do a great job of it. So for all the people who say, oh, you need to do penetration testing, just point the AI at your website, at your app, have it do the check for you. That may or may not be the best way to approach this. And judging off this blog post, Anthropic is saying it is not. It will find problems whether they exist or not.
Exactly. Just like humans do. So it's interesting to see some of the parallels here between, AI being trained. It's trained on human behavior. It's trained on human data. So therefore, it's going to start replicating some of those key tenets that are very nuanced when it comes to human socialization, human behavior, and honestly, too. Like a machine, we don't know if a machine has morals or not, right? So a lot of different things to think about here, but we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we'll be talking about how Meta looks to power trading to support its AI energy needs. Sam Altman describes OpenAI's forthcoming AI device as more peaceful and calm than the iPhone.
Welcome back. Let's continue with our stories. The next one has to do with Meta trading power to support its AI energy needs. So first, a little bit of background. Tech companies who are involved with AI need more electricity than ever and are making plans to get that electricity that they need. For instance, the data center that Meta is building in Louisiana requires the local utility company to build at least 3 new power plants. But here's the problem. Power companies can't take on all that cost of building the next generation of power without commitments from the companies in order to purchase that electricity before the power plants are built, which does make sense. So Meta and Microsoft as well are asking for federal approval to trade power. Interestingly, Apple has already received this approval from the federal government. According to Meta, this will make it possible for them to make the long-term commitments needed to buy electricity from new plants that don't exist yet. But if it turns out they don't need all that power, they can mitigate the risk by reselling some of that power to other companies who do need it. What's interesting about this is this gives them an opportunity to not commit as fully as perhaps they might want to or need to and make adjustments on the fly. So they could do a take or pay deal, meaning that they could buy a large amount of electricity. If they don't use it, then they can resell it to others who might. Ashley, what are your thoughts on this?
It's wild, honestly. We're at a really contentious point right now of energy sources. And we talked about this on the show before about companies buying up nuclear energy plants and putting leases on those that are 50 to 100 years. Right now is really a pivotal time for a lot of companies that will set the precedent for the future. And obviously that's what Meta is trying to do. Interestingly, that they're able to do the back and forth of selling if they want to mitigate risk. I wish that, small and medium-sized companies would always get the same level of treatment when they go ask for things, as opposed to like Apple. It's nice that they already have that, but I think we're going to see more of this. And this is just the tip of the iceberg as we continue hurting on ahead of, we've already exhausted the Earth's resources as humans. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when machines exhaust the resources that we don't have. That's where we are.
I think it's interesting that companies continue to say over and over about what a commitment they're making to AI and why that's resulting in layoffs and other changes that they're making. But when it comes to actually planning and setting aside the budget for the long-term requirements of that AI, they're very hesitant too. And obviously I'm making sweeping generalizations here, but that's how it comes across.
It does. Absolutely. I agree with you there.
Let's move on to our last story, which has to do with the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, talking about their new hardware device that's supposed to be more peaceful and calm than the iPhone. So just a little bit of background. OpenAI is working with Johnny Ive. Johnny Ive is a designer who is best known for his work at Apple, where he worked to design the iPad, the
original iPhone,
the iPod, and the iMac. I just wasn't expecting you to hold yours up in the moment. He is working with OpenAI. I love that. I have a box too. It's a bit in my closet. I need to get it out. Johnny Ive is been working with OpenAI to create new AI-enabled hardware devices. Now, recently, Sam Altman and Johnny Ive gave an interview where they were talking about this new hardware product, and Johnny Ive confirmed that the device should be available in under 2 years. Part of me feels like, number one, that's a really long way off, but number two, if you're really creating something that is so revolutionary, it is going to take some time to create. Not much is known about this product yet, except that it's rumored to be screenless and will fit in your pocket. In this interview, they described the device as being able to filter out things for the user, and the user would begin to trust the AI to do things for them more and more over periods of time. The device would be contextually aware of when is the best time to present information to the user and ask for input. Interestingly, Sam Altman compared what they were working on to the iPhone, saying that the iPhone was the crowning achievement of consumer products at this point in technology. And he looked at his life as pre-iPhone and post-iPhone, which as a non-iPhone user, I still look at my life as pre-smartphone and post-smartphone. So I get it. I think underlying here, the point is this is going to be a revolutionary hardware device. 2 years is still a long time, though, before it's released. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I'm so glad that you pulled this one. Thank you for doing that because I love following anything Johnny Ive and Sam Altman. I remember we've been covering this since Johnny Ive and Sam Altman decided to team up together to create the first wearable AI device. And if anyone knows design, it's Johnny Ive. He knows how to spot these visionaries, like he worked with Steve Jobs. Now he's working with Sam Altman. He sees the writing on the wall and wants to, be in position to create something that is useful, that is very human-centered design, because that's what Johnny Ive's about. And I really do think that this is like Johnny Ive's encore of like, how can he have that much of an impact on the technology world with that design? Because he already did it with the iPhone. Why not do it again? And the iPad and the iPod. Why not do it again with the pen? I will say it's important to look back at history as well, because in the past 3 years, there have been startups that have been trying to duplicate the same exact thing. Human AI is one of those pens that came out a couple of years ago. I think it was a Kickstarter. The idea is it's screenless and it projects a screen or it projects information onto your hand. And the idea, it was meant to be a simple device that's able to be an assistant for you and not get caught up in the screens. Well, it failed miserably and they sold all of their information to HP. But that's just a case of being first to market and being the one to get cannibalized as an example. But I do think that that's where we're moving to, is who can execute that wearable pen that looks good, that actually functions, but also who owns the data. That's like a conversation that we'll get into later, but Oracle, Larry Ellison, there's a lot of different situations here where people are trying to be in position to own the data that is underpinning a lot of these systems. And I think that's a conversation we're not having yet. But I'm excited to see what it ends up looking like 2 years from now. It is a long time, but you're right. If we're going to create something that's groundbreaking and innovative, it's just going to take time. That's inherent. And not to mention the technology that's going to be required to make it such a small form factor.
I'm not sure that I personally see the value in a screenless device, though, because there are times where you do want to read things and you want that level of privacy. So are you still going to carry your phone? Obviously, it's a long way off, right? But I think there is certainly room for something else, but carrying another device is not something I personally want to do.
No. I see what they're trying to do, though. They're trying to make something that people can wear 24/7, that picks up on the nuanced detail of conversations, people's names, habits, behaviors, what you do. Like, if you think about it, so much data can be gleaned from wearing a device throughout the day. And I also think that's an aspect here.
Yes, that is it for our AI news that you should know about for this week. And now Ashley's AI tech tip of the week.
All right. AI tech tip of the week. Okay. So we all know that search engine optimization is out and generative AI optimization is in. And I had a really interesting conversation last week that helped articulate this. And my tip of the week is put transcripts in your things, whether that is a webinar or a podcast episode. The reason why is because machines look through text. And to you and I, a transcript might be long and boring, but to a machine, it's information that helps index, parse, and increase visibility. The reason why I mentioned that is because I was having a conversation with a fellow podcaster that started a podcast 7 years ago and hasn't done anything to their podcast in the past 3 years, but is somehow still ranking in like the top 200 in the category, which for those listening, podcasts get ranked in the top 200 categories. And if you're under that 200, you're not even considered. But the reason that he has been ranking is because back when he started putting transcripts in the notes of every single episode. And that served him well now 7 years in the future because AI tools are starting to index that. And because he put the work up in front, he doesn't have to go back and do it. So personally, I'm going through all of my content, re-adding transcripts if they're not inherently baked in to help with some of that AI optimization. So those that are listening, I encourage you to try to look and do the same because AI optimization is the new SEO and it takes about 3 to 6 months to really get it honed in. But if you start now, you could really be there by, February, March, April, May.
I love that suggestion. I need to do that for my own podcast. All right. You can find links to everything we've discussed in the show notes and connect with us on social media. We'd love to get some feedback of the show, what you think could be improved about it. You can find me at Daniel Hill Media on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
And thank you, our listeners, for listening to today's episode of AI News That You Should Know About. If you like today's episode, feel free to leave us a rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It means so much to get to know what you think about the show. And when you leave that little rate and review, it helps more people be able to find this information. So if you want to be a part of someone's life and helping them stay ahead of the curve when it comes to AI, leave a rate and review. It's simple. It's free. It takes less than 2 minutes. But feel free to connect with me on Instagram at AshleyRCoffee89 if you want to continue the tech conversation.
Thank you for listening and come back next week for more AI news that you should know about.